Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So a couple days ago, I made a video giving you my top 10 unrestricted free agent signings of the last decade. So I thought a logical sequel, logical follow-up to that video would be giving you my top 10 contract extensions of the last decade. Because when looking at the blueprint to building a contender, it's obviously drafting very well and then giving these guys 7, 8-year deals fresh off their ELCs and just watch them turning to superstars as the salary cap continues to rise. So that's mainly what these deals are for the most part over the last decade, from March 31st, 2014 on for the last 10 years, what the best contract extensions were. I'm going to definitely value playoff performance individually more so than maybe team, because obviously some players have been drafted into far better situations, have won Stanley Cups, versus others have had absolutely shit management around them. So it's going to be more of an individual standpoint, kind of like with the unrestricted free agents, how I didn't really have like a Pietrangelo in there, because although he did win the Stanley Cup, he also did join a contender for the most part. So let's get into it. Up first, I have Nathan McKinnon only got 7 years, $6.3 million, and it was kind of justified. His last season of his ELC, he only had 52 points in 72 games, and even the first year of this deal wasn't that good. He had 53 points, but then he would obviously break out the following season in 2018, finish second runner-up for the Hart Trophy to Taylor Hall in 2018. You can make a strong argument that he should have won it, had, I believe, 97 or 99 points, and since then, he's been a top 5 player, top 3 player in the entire NHL, basically every single season. The final 6 years of that extension, which obviously ended back in 2023. He had 209 goals, 344 assists, 553 points in 409 games, which put him on pace for 42 goals, 67 assists, 109 points. Obviously would go on to win the Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche, played fantastic, has just performed in the playoffs for the most part, basically since the COVID lockout. So in looking at him, Hart finalist 3 times on this contract. It is insane, and as a result, he literally got double on his extension. He's now making $12.6 million. The Colorado Avalanche basically got a top 5, no doubt, again, top 4, top 3, some seasons the second best player in hockey for $6.3 million over a 6-year stretch. It was an absolutely fantastic deal. Number 2, you could probably assume also who this is. I have Leon Draisaitl signed an 8-year, $8.5 million contract after having a very solid 77-point season. First year of the contract, similar to McKinnon, wasn't insane. He was probably worth below 8.5, if being honest, compared to even McKinnon's 6.3. He had 25 goals, 45 assists, 70 points. So this contract grew a lot of certainty for the most part, but obviously the following season would have 50 goals, 55 assists, 105 points, well worth 8.5. Then the next season, 2019, 2020, wins the goddamn Hart. In the last 5 years, he has 219 points, 219 goals, 311 assists, 530 points in 359 games. For 50 goal, 71 assists, 121 points. You look at him, similar to McKinnon, has been a top 5 player. Yes, he does play with Connor McDavid. That's why he's a better stat line than Nathan McKinnon. So when looking at it, he's going to get a massive raise whenever his contract's up. 8.5 for 7 years of that deal. Draisaitl, maybe not that second year being a top 5 player in the NHL, but definitely the final 6 years of that contract, he's going to be one of the best players in the entire NHL. It is fantastic. At third, this is a little bit interesting because he was the highest paid player in the entire NHL for 6 seasons until McKinnon's extension kicked in. But I do think what am I saying? I do think McDavid at 8 years, $12.5 million is worthy of being up here, because when looking at what he's done on this extension, he's been the no doubt best player in hockey. He's been worth legitimately $16, $17, $18 million. So even though, again, he is the highest paid guy, he is still severely underpaid on this contract. On this contract, through 5 seasons, he has 2 Hart trophies, or no, it's been 6 seasons. 6 seasons, 2 Hart trophies, 4 Art Rosses, probably going to make that a 5th this year. 719 points in 430 games, good for a 137-point pace on this contract. It is just absolutely insane. Somehow they made him the highest paid player in the NHL, and he was that for 4 or 5 years, but it's still one of the best contract extensions in NHL history for the most part. Number 4, Brad Marchand. He got 8 years, $6.125 million. And when looking at this, Yes, the last 2 years have not been that impressive. He's been around the point per game guy, 70-ish point guy, still well worth 6.125. But the first couple years, the first 5 years of this contract, he was one of the best players in the entire NHL. Finished basically top 10 in Hart voting every single season. He was on pace for 38 goals, 63 assists for 101 points over those 5 years. So to get that, it's 6.125 for over 8 years, even the final 2 years. Final 2 years of this extension. It's going to be fantastic. He's going to be well worth that. Amazing deal by the Boston Bruins, and there's going to be another Boston Bruins deal on this goddamn list. They did fantastic in terms of locking up their core pieces on absolutely great deals. Number five, I have Nikita Kucherov. Nikita Kucherov, he signed this deal after he won the Hart in 2019. It was an 8-year, $9.5 million contract. On that contract, 393 points in 269 games, on pace for 120 points. During the duration of his contract, he's in fourth in terms of points per game at 1.46, but that's with Draisaitl and McKinnon being at 1.48. He's 1.46. The other two are 1.48. So he's basically been the second most productive player in the entire NHL on this contract. 9.5 is a decent, hefty price, but that's what, for the most part, good, decent, or above average first liners get for the most part now. So considering he's been putting up 120 points, it is fantastic. He does have 3 years left on this contract, and he is getting up there in age. But I think even if he regresses like 10% each, considering he's having his best regular season of his career, even if he does slowly regress, he's still going to be worth well worth $9.5 million in the final year of that contract. So this was absolutely great by, I believe this was Julien Brisebois, not Steve Yzerman. So great deal. 6, we got a goalie. We got a goalie. We got Connor Hellebuyck. Connor Hellebuyck signed a 6-year, $6.2 million contract after being the Vezina runner-up while playing 68 goddamn games. He's in the final year of his contract. In this contract, he's going to win 2 Vezinas, assuming he wins it this year. Obviously won it in 2020 as well as having a 3rd place finish and another 4th place finish. And even his 2 down years on this contract was a .910 and a .913 save percentage. And during these 6 years, he has been by far the biggest workhorse and still posting a .917 save percentage. He's played 348 games, and for context, Vasilevsky checks in at 316. So yeah, just such a goddamn workhorse. And every single year, he is so goddamn consistent. His worst year has been him probably being like the 7th or 8th best goalie when he had a .910 and didn't have that competitive of a Winnipeg Jets team in front of him. Getting him at 6.2 to be the best, I'd say the best regular season goalie over the stretch. I know Vasilevsky in the playoffs, he's fantastic as well. But even Hellebuyck has been solid for the Winnipeg Jets in the playoffs. Next up at 7, we got Jack Hughes' 8-year, $8 million contract. It's been disappointing this season, but I still think even with it has 6 years left at $8 million after this year, I still think it's the best contract in hockey. But it's even a down year for Jack Hughes. Last year, 43 goals, 56 assists for 99 points. This season, he's on pace for 37 goals, 64 assists, 102 points. So when looking at it, yes, his defensive metrics are down, but on a per game basis, he obviously got hurt. He's still a 100-point guy at 22 years old, 100-point pace guy. So when looking at it, he's going to be in his prime for the remaining 6 years of his contract. Even if he doesn't take another step and just remains a 100-point guy, that's worth like 10.5, $11 million, maybe even 11.5 considering what like William Nylander got. So when looking at it, the fact he has 6 years, and I still think he's going to take another jump. We saw him at the start of this season. He was playing so goddamn good. I think he's going to be a 110, 115-point guy, only making $8 million. There's a chance that when this contract's done, it could rank, when I do this in another goddamn 5 years, this easily could be up there with the McDavid, Draisaitl, and McKinnon. It is an absolutely fantastic deal. We just need to see Jack Hughes have a full season of being a no doubt top 6, top 7 player in the entire NHL. Number 8, I got David Pastrnak. They locked him up on a 6-year, $6.6 million contract after he scored 34 goals and 36 assists. The following year, he'd have a very solid 80 points, well worth $6.6 million. The year after, 81 points in 66 games. That was really the establishment of the perfection line when Marchand was a elite player. Bergeron probably won the Selke that year, as well as pasta. And then the following year, 48 goals in 70 games, as well as 95 points, another superstar year. His one down year was the COVID year, and I know he was dealing with a lot of stuff off the ice that affected his play, but he did only have 20 points and 20 goals, 28 assists, 48 points in 48 games. But then he got back to normal, 40 goals in 72 games the following year. And then the final year, the Steel's 61 goals, 52 assists, 113 points. One of the best, the fifth best goal scorer of his entire contract duration. When looking at it, only behind Ovechkin, Matthews, Draisaitl, and McDavid. And especially in the last 3 years, I think he's like second or third. So this was a fantastic year, a fantastic deal for the Boston Bruins. The only reason it's not higher is it was only 6 years. You compare that to a Marchand, to a Jack Hughes, to those other deals that are longer. And he did have that one down year. And even the first year and 2 years ago, or the second to last deal, the COVID year, the second to last year when he had 77 points in 72 games, as well as the first year, we're absolutely superstars. So I think 8 is a pretty decent spot for him. At 9, we got another 6-year deal. Alexander Barkov, when he got a 6-year deal, paying him $5.9 million, signed this in 2016, fresh off his ELC. Had a very solid 52 points in 61 games in that first year, well worth $5.9 million. That's nothing. That's second line center money, even kind of back in 2016. The following year, 78 points point per game, fantastic defensively. Then fully breaks out as a superstar with 96 points in 82 games. And over the duration of the entire deal, had 434 points in 405 games, good for 88 points, while finishing first in the Selke 1 year, another third place finish, another fourth place finish, another fifth place finish, and 11th and the 17th. So he was basically, besides Bergeron, arguably the best two-way center in the entire NHL, while giving you 88 points on a 6-year deal, only paying you $5.9 million. He was well worth $10-11 million for the most part, even in those early years, especially when they won the President's Trophy. When he had 96 points, probably worth 12 goddamn million, while only making 5.9. Again, it would be higher if it was an 8-year deal. If we got the last 2 seasons on there, it'd be one of the best deals, but at 6 years, I think it is fair. And lastly, in 10th, I'm going with a little bit of a hipster pick. This might get shat on when compared to a Cale Makar 6x9, a Quinn Hughes also 6x7.8. Adam Fox got 8 years at 9.5. But I am actually going to go with Jaccob Slavin, who got a 7-year deal at $5.3 million back in 2018. When looking at him, not the most flashy numbers when compared, especially to the defenseman that I mentioned earlier, but he has been the best defensive defenseman in the entire NHL over that stretch, while being around the 40-point guy offensively. And at $5.3 million every single season, consistently a top 15, maybe even top 10 defenseman in the entire NHL at that low of a cap hit. I think it is valid to have that, considering it's a year longer than a Quinn Hughes, than a Cale Makar at much lower money. I think Jaccob Slavin at the number 10 spot is valid. So when looking at it, here's the list. Other names that almost came up, obviously those 3 defensemen. Matthew Tkachuk, 8 years, 9.5. Having a bit of a down year, playing better of late recently, but I need to see him get back to well over 100 points in order to put him back up there. Tim Stützle, 8 years, 8.4. Again, having a down year, need to see him get back to 90-plus points to put him up there. And that's really it. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm forgetting one. I don't think I am. I went through Cap Friendly like multiple times, adjusted the dates and all that. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this video? And I'll be seeing you in the next one.